Ayman Khan here for Seconds Out with world-renowned trainer Shane McGuigan. Shane, we've got a new player in town, MVP in the UK, of course, launching back with Sky Sports as well. A lot of big relationships from relationship with Sky Sports. On the card features Caroline Dubois and Ellie Scotney. A bit of heat, though, from Caroline Dubois. She's called Sweet Caroline Dubois. She's getting the savage words out for Terry Harper.
Yeah, it's another side to Caroline, but you can't mistake it for arrogance. It's just confidence, and I think she's extremely confident in this fight, and she has a right to be. She's untested, but in terms of like at that world caliber, she's not boxed that many names, but from what we've all seen in the gym, she's a phenomenal talent, and it's going to be her time on April the 5th to sort of showcase that talent with someone like Terry Harper, a 3-weight world champion, I think she is, and someone that's been around a long time and a very good boxer. So we can't take her lightly, Terry, that is, obviously, and we just have to go and make sure that she might be a bit of trash talking here, but there's respect in terms of for the preparation.
Anything particular about Terry that she doesn't like at all? Is it just, I think maybe part of it is Alicia Baumgartner kind of brought a little bit of that fire out of her in the last press conference. Maybe Caroline feels she needs to bring that side out.
Yeah, she's headlining, so she's probably, I think it's nice to have a juicy narrative. Do you know what I mean? Like, not that anyone's told her to go out there and do that. It's her own choice, but it's, I think she knows that Terry, like, if you give Terry confidence, and for instance, if you give Terry confidence and let her get into a fight, she can be a trickier operator. So, it's the same thing in the press conference. You got to go out there and stamp your authority, just like the fight, and show that you mean business.
Harper's honed in on an apparent weakness of Caroline Dubois that she fades after the 6th round. Is that true?
No, I don't think so. I mean, she obviously had that fight against the Korean girl, but that was an extremely physical fight. So what we've seen with Caroline in the gym is that she holds her form throughout, and I think she's gonna need to step her game up in terms of when she gets up the caliber, but she's definitely got it.
Ellie Scotney, of course, she returns after a layoff for an injury. A lot of her feeling of continuing and waiting for this opportunity lands on her faith and keeping her strong to know that the opportunity will come. She says that it's God's plan that's got her to this point, but what does she have to do to keep getting back into that track and collecting those titles?
Well, she has to be very disciplined in this fight. It's Ellie's a natural fighter. She loves to have a scrap and she likes to get stuck in. But she's boxing for the first time somebody shorter than her, who's probably going to be really pushing her back, trying to press the action. And I think we know what we're going to get with Flores. We know that what sort of style we're going to get, but it's the intensity that comes with it, and you have to just prepare for that. So she has to stay disciplined and not run away, but box her when you want to box her, and then fight her on your terms, not being forced into those scenarios. And it's a solid challenge, this. But as she alluded to, rightfully so, it's for all of the belts. It's for the 4th belt. She's got 3 and the Ring magazine. So this is for the undisputed title. And if you're going to do that, you want to be in there with a proper challenger, and she's definitely got that in Flores.
You've been in the game a long time. Sky Sports are taking a little bit of a hiatus, but they're back now with MVP, with a lot of shifting sands in the sport. How do you think Sky and MVP will do with the competition?
Yeah, I think MVP are doing really well, and I think they've always been. Yeah, they've always come with a different approach to fight week and stuff like that. They get you to do a lot more media. They promote it on social media really, really well. And obviously that combined with a monster platform in Sky Sports, I think that they can do fantastic things. They're coming back with an all-female card, but on Easter Sunday, where most of the shows rate really, really well. They had Wardley versus Clark 1 on Easter Sunday, and then you had Liam Cameron versus Ben Whittaker. The second fight, I'm pretty sure, was on Easter Sunday as well. So both of those rated really well, and I think it would be a great chance for them to launch it again, launch boxing back on Sky, all female card, but with some great fights, and it's definitely that's what you get with female boxing. You get, they don't go out there try and kill the clock. They got 2 minutes. It's a shorter round. They go hell for leather, and they give you entertainment.
You got a new addition at your gym in the form of King Kenny. Is he with you now?
King Kenny is in the gym. Yeah, he's training away. So yeah, he's mixing in.
In the pro game? In the influencer game?
He's in Misfits.
So are you training Misfits fighters now?
No, we're not. We're not. He's in the gym. So he's in the gym.
Have you softened a bit, Shane?
He's a really nice person, and he's actually got he's got some talent. He's got some talent, and I think me and Josh are helping him out, and we're trying to get his fundamentals up. So we're keeping it, or we're not keeping it hush, but we've been keeping it relatively hush now. Just because he's it's seeing I like to see people achieve or get better at boxing.
So this is just a sign of the times, moving with the times, Shane. And if an influencer fighter wants to come and they're talented, you're open to it.
You might see me on Misfits at this stage, mate. I might call someone out.
Against who?
You name them.
I'll leave that for another day. A couple of other things. Adam Azim injury obviously postpones his fight that he had scheduled. Is that going to be scheduled to a later date? What's the current state of play with Adam Azim's return to the ring? Yeah,
it's looking likely. I think we're looking at end of April, potentially early May. We're looking at availabilities now. Very frustrating time. He had a great camp. So yeah, it was frustrating. But at this stage of his career, you can't risk anything. And the scaphoid bone is a really important bone on the hand. So yeah, it was the right decision to be made.
A lot of people like to make conspiracy theories and say these are convenient excuses for a boxer to pull a fight for any reason, but it's purely because of the injuries suffered to both fighters here.
Yeah. Like Lemos pulled out a bit before it, and we were working all towards the same date. Obviously, the show wasn't based around Lemos. It was around
here. Albright was the
Nahir Albright, exactly. Yeah. So we were all happy with that opponent, but these things happen, mate. Unfortunately, and you couldn't script it. But that's boxing.
I spoke to Don Charles. Obviously, Daniel Dubois has since returned to Don Charles. That's not alien within the boxing sphere, but usually there's a fight in between or fights that happen before they might return to training. Before I get to Dan returning to Don, Don had said in one of his interviews on Seconds Out that if he wasn't going to return to him, he wanted Daniel to go back to yourself. Was that ever a conversation? Was the door knocked from Daniel's team that he might return to yourself?
No comment.
Okay. What do you think about the return of Daniel to Don and that fit there?
Great. Yeah. I got a lot of time for Daniel, and I think he's a fantastic fighter. And I've got a lot of time for Don Charles, and I think they work really well together.
What does Daniel need at this point in his career to regain a world title? If it's not against Alexander Usyk, if it's against like Fabio Wardley, which is apparently a rumored fight there, what does he need to flick a switch for to get him over the line again?
Just exciting fights, entertainment, and he's a phenomenal puncher. He's had a few setbacks now, but that kind of shapes a fighter. And I think when you're 17 years of age and you're knocking people out, like knocking grown men out and knocking professionals out like he was, you can ride on confidence a little bit. And I think the Joe Joyce fight really knocked his confidence back. But since then, he's taken it in his stride a lot better. He hasn't. He's learnt from those. I don't think he really learnt much from the Joe Joyce fight. I think he's learnt a lot from the Usyk fights. He's learnt a lot from his wins as well as his losses. So, he's. Some people mature slightly later on in life in terms of for experience. You could have a load of fights in your early 20s, but there's not. You're not getting anything from them. But where he's got his experience from now, he's got them from the Miller fights, his Lorena fights, things like that, and obviously AJ and those sort of experiences. He's seen big time boxing, and you've got Fabio Wardley there, Daniel has a lot more experience than him, and I think that would be a great fight for Daniel. Both massive punchers, but it would be who stays disciplined the most, and I think it's definitely a winnable fight.
Does he beat him? Do you think? Would you put him the favourite?
If he boxes him, yes. If he goes out there, tries to knock him out, I don't think so.
Do you think Daniel can be disciplined?
He's brilliant at boxing. He's got a great jab. He's got good feet. He's so well balanced. People don't see what that guy can do in the gym. Like he can light it up. He's got so much talent. But I think a lot of the time, the occasion has got to him and taken him away from staying disciplined. But as I said before, those experiences have really shaped him. And I think, Fabio Wardley would be a great fight, but it is not, look at what he did to Parker. But Parker wasn't in there trying to knock him out. I don't think that's the plan. I think, you can't, like, Fabio's been hurt and he looks hurt many times in his career, but he's always like, he's got that Nigel Benn. He's at his most dangerous when he's on rocky legs. So yeah, you just got to stay disciplined and keep him on the stick.
Lastly, I want to get your take on Chisora versus Wilder. It was mooted for a few years ago. The two are squaring off now in their final fights, we believe. Who do you think gets their hands raised?
I think Chisora will beat him. Okay. Yeah. I mean, just from previous. I mean, obviously, a few years ago, you would have said Wilder would have done him, but I don't know. I think I saw that last fight that Wilder had, where did he stop the guy in the 5th round or something? But he was like, he's putting combinations together. He's trying to throw too many punches. Like, he's wasting his goodness. I don't know if he has that same snap that he once had, and yeah, you need that. Like, Derek Chisora has got like a chin where he can take X amount of power up to 90. But once you're over 90, you're going to stretch him. But if you're at 88, it'll take them all day long. And you need to have that one punch, which is mad to say that we're talking about Wilder not having that, but it didn't seem that he had that one punch explosive knockout. But I wouldn't be surprised if he does stretch him.
Are you saying that the power is gone? Because for me in his fights, I know people are kind of saying that he's not. He does still throw the right hand.
It's not power. It's confidence in yourself to throw a shot.
But he does still throw it. It just doesn't seem to have the effect that it once did.
Yeah, because he's pulling off, because he's worried about getting hit.
Is it not because the fighters he's facing are heavier than the fighters he was facing before, so they can maybe take the shot there?
You know the stats, but from what I'm visually seeing...
You're the trainer.
From what I see is I see a guy that doesn't believe in himself anymore.
Right. Okay. Shane, appreciate your time. Thanks for being seconds out.